everyone, it's Jess, and we are here to finally talk about The Amazing Race episodes 3 and 4, both together, because I have ADHD and can't do anything on time, clearly, if you can tell by the date. But we are definitely here to talk about some interesting episodes. Interesting in different ways. I definitely have more to say about 4 than I do 3, but obviously we're going to go in order. We're going to start with episode 3. Their final leg, why am I forgetting what country Prague is in? Don't worry about it. You know where they are. So let's just... The American education system. But yeah, let us start with episode 3. The leg in Kutna Hora, from where they had to get to from Prague. This was a self-driving leg, and I have a lot of opinions about this. First of all, I want to know who decided the start times, the departure times for this leg. Because let me tell you, the first team to leave was Jag and Jazz at 5:14 a.m. I wrote down all of their times. The last team to leave was Turner and Megan, 11:36 a.m. Now I know y'all can do math, so let's repeat that again. Jag and Jazz, first place at the end of last leg, 5:14 a.m. Turner and Megan, last place for the last leg, 11:36 a.m. Why are they leaving 6 hours after the first team? That's crazy. That's crazy. Especially because this is a self-driving leg. It was only like an hour away. I think by the time Turner and Megan were probably leaving to start, like, departing, the top teams had to be done. Because, let me say something. This leg, the challenges were interesting. They were not that complicated. They weren't hard. They weren't that time-consuming for the most part, for most teams, from what I can see. Even with the driver's seat, even if they were time-consuming, it didn't really impact much because the teams are so spread apart. So, what the hell are we doing? Like, literally, it was dark when Jag and Jazz started, even though they didn't leave at 5:14 because they waited for their train wreck alliance to start their departure time. Turner and Megan were done. The sun was setting. And they weren't even done. They had just gotten to the plowing route and Phil was waiting for them like, you're done. I'm sorry. Like, that sucks, because there's no way they could have possibly caught up to it, like, majority of these teams. Like, there's no way. I know, like, that top group, I think, is a much closer. Obviously, I'm looking at the departure times again. The only thing that kind of helped some of the teams catch up was because the brewery, the Kutna Hora Municipal Brewery, where the first roadblock was, didn't open until 9. So literally, Jag and Jazz, Joseph and Adam, and Natalie and Stephanie all got there at 7 a.m. because their departure times were 5:15 again for Jag and Jazz, and then 5:45 for both Joseph and Adam and Natalie and Stephanie. They got there 2 hours before that opened. So they just had to sit there for 2 hours. They did spend the time strategizing about the driver's seat, which they did give to let Natalie and Stephanie take. Why did you make the departure times so early for no reason? I get they had to, like, drive from Prague to Kutna Hora, but if they left at, like, 5:45 and they got there for 7 and then they had 2 more hours before this brewery opened, why would they need to leave so early? Like, The next team after them didn't leave until 7:46 a.m. That was Tucker and Eric. 2 hours later. What the fuck was the point of that? Literally, you could have just had them leave like a bit closer. Probably would have. In that situation, the driver's seat would have mattered a bit more because the teams would have been closer together. I'm looking at the time. I keep checking the times on how I wrote them down. But yeah, after the 5 a.m. crew, it's like Tucker and Eric, like 7:46, and then between 8 a.m. and then 8:21 is Hannah and Simone, Izzy and Paige, and Chelsea and Jack. Followed by Rubina and Christine at 8:43, and then another 2-hour gap, 2 whole more hours, for then Kylan and Taylor at 10:30, Kat and Alex at 10:45, and Turner and Megan at 11:36. Why? What up with why? What's the point? Literally, why? There's no point. I get why, but it's like, it's not interesting to watch when there's no opportunity for the teams in the back to catch up. I think it's definitely more interesting when there's much more chances for the teams to equalize. If the top people are not concerned at all that anybody can beat them from the back and they're consistently going to be placing in the top, that's boring. That's a steamroll, and I don't like it. Especially now we have an alliance, because Big Brother people, we have to make alliances. But I just wish they had the start times a bit closer. They did not need those multiple 2-hour gaps. They could have did, if they wanted them to get there earlier, they could have did like Jag and Jazz, push it like an hour more. So let's say like Jag and Jazz were supposed to leave at like 6:15, then 6:45 for the next 2 teams, and then the next one's 7 something, like 7:30, or 7 something, and then the latest team should have left at like 10 something if you're gonna do. So that at least is closer. They would have had more chances to catch up, and then the driver's seat would have mattered, because for the driver's seat was at the first roadblock, the Who's Feeling tapped out at the brewery, where they have to fill up, the bottles of beer. Depending on how many cases they have to fill, is dependent on the roadblock that, Natalie and Stephanie chose. Because all the teams are so spread out, half the time it didn't matter. Because, let's see, they gave all of the male teams 3 crates. It was Jag and Jazz, Joseph, Adam, Tucker, Eric, and then Jack and Chelsea all had 3 crates to fill. The 2 crates went to Christina and Rubin, Kylan and Taylor, Kat and Alex, Megan and Turner, and then Natalie and Stephanie. They put themselves in the middle. And then 1 crate for Izzy and Paige and Hannah and Simone. Cool. If you noticed, the 3 crate people were almost all at the top. Literally 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place. And they were a league ahead of everybody else, pretty much. I think, who was it? I think Hannah and Simone might have caught up at the end to them. And then maybe Izzy and Paige. But there's also a lot of people got lost to this episode. A lot of self-driving, some people just not good at directions. Clearly, Megan and Turner got lost. Chelsea and Jack very lost. Rubin and Christine got lost. Joseph and Adam didn't get lost. Well, they kind of got lost, but they weren't really lost. They were just kind of confused if they were going the right way, and they were. But they lost their keys. So then they guess they got lost in a way. But I don't know. I feel like if they're closer together, it would have mattered more. Especially looking at the placements, because all the 3 people were at the top. If the teams were closer together, if Izzy and Paige, Hannah and Simone all had 1 crate. If they got there while Jag and Jazz and Tucker and Eric were still doing it, they could have blown past them because they had 1 crate to do. But they did not, because the times were quite staggered. Even though, like I said, a little closer because they were in until 9. But they didn't leave until after 8. And they got there, they started right at 9. I don't know. I just like things to be a little more, give people a fighting chance at least a little better. Because literally the back of the pack had no chance. I think when Chelsea and Jack got there, I don't think there was anybody else there. I don't believe. Or if there was, maybe it was Rubina and Christine, but they were at the end. And then the rest all kind of clumped together, but even then. But, yeah. This challenge, I did enjoy the challenge in a way, but, man, I gotta talk about Alex. What was Alex doing? Alex said this roadblock instead of cat. And for some reason, while he was filling the bottles, obviously they had to, film to a certain level. I believe, I can't remember who it was. They couldn't be underfilled, but it was fine if they were overfilled. So they were, a little more lenient in that case. It didn't have to be perfect, like, okay, you're not at this point in the bottle, go back. He just kept dumping the bottles, dumping on a bottle. He would fill it, dump it, fill it, dump it. Doesn't look right, dump it. Too much foam, dump. I was like, why is he dumping them? Just let the beer foam settle. Let it settle. See how much is in there. Dumping. His bucket underneath his workstation was to the brim with beer. It was so much. I'm like, oh my god. And they had 2 crates. Yeah, 2 crates. Oh my! I'm like, this is taking forever. He is dumping so much beer, and he obviously he did finish it, and they were able to beat Turner and Megan, but also because Turner said that he got lost in the brewery and could not find the guy somehow couldn't find the guy to turn the beers into. I don't know how. I have no idea how, but it's fine, I guess. Oh, Jesus. Turner and Megan, I love them. Lord, their directions, maybe not their strong suit. That's okay. Everybody, strengths and weaknesses. But yeah, oh boy. So the first roadblock wasn't too bad. The crates, like I said, it was just filling them, and depending how well you were able to fill them, it was you could kind of blow through them. Plus, we had 2 bartenders on the cast. Stephanie and Rubina are both either worked in bartending or currently were bartenders. So, definitely helped them. Though, you never know. So, they also have to go after the roadblock. They have to go to the route info, where they have to plow a field to find their next clue. Interesting in theory. We could work on this because everybody, they said it in the episode at one point. I forget what team said it. They could kind of figure out where the clues were based on where everybody just dumped their big ass plow and took off when they found it. So you kind of be like, okay, it's kind of in the middle, this direction somewhere, because everybody else's plows are lined up there. We should tweak that. Maybe make it so you have to bring the plow back. Okay, you found your clue. Bring it back, put it back, and then move on. That way it's a little harder for the other teams because they don't know. I guess you could also maybe follow the pattern in the dirt, but it's a big field, so you wouldn't be able to see everybody's. Just depends, I guess, when you got there. You could see if there's anybody next to you that did it. But I think that would have probably helped with that, because a lot of teams were like, I wish I remembered what team it was that said that. I feel like it wasn't Tucker and Amber. Was it Joseph and Adam? It might have been. It was one of them where they were like, well, you could see where they dumped their plows. So it should be somewhere in this area equal to that. But I don't make the show, so not up to me. It's okay. Now, I'm gonna tell you something. Joseph and Adam lose their keys here in the field. Don't know how. They find them, obviously, because it's one of those cars. It's like a car where you have to have the keys to push the button. It was like, no key, what are you doing? And they were like, no keys. What do you mean no keys? Adam's like, do you have the keys? And he's like, no, you have the keys. And looking through their bags, the trunk, because they have to have them. They got to the farm, in the dirt somehow. Somehow it fell in the dirt. Don't know how they did that. Security keys, very important. If you can't drive, you're in trouble. Whew. They found them. Now, This Trainwreck Alliance love to help each other. Like Natalie and Stephanie, when they left, they got the directions for this route info. Hand wrote the directions for Jack and Jazz and Joseph and Adam, who also, by the way, got lost going to this route info. They, like they said, they didn't get lost. They were going the right way, but they were getting like confused, and they stopped somewhere to ask, and they were like, "You're like on the right path," but they gave them like different I don't know. They were like pretty much going the right way. So Tucker and Eric were able to beat them that way. But yeah, this road info is also where Turner and Megan are eliminated, which is crazy because they barely get halfway. There's still a whole other roadblock after this, but they start so late. There's so few teams, and then they get horribly lost, which I will get into in a little bit. I want to touch on the other teams and the other roadblocks as well. But they got so lost. It's crazy. Now, also I just remembered Prague is Czech Republic. Thank you. I don't know why it just reminded me now. I'm like, oh yeah, Czech Republic. There we go. Something's up here. Now, next roadblock, when you get there, is at Zimny Stadion. Stadium? It was written Stadion. I don't speak Czech, so forgive me. Who wants to light the lamp? You gotta get in full hockey gear. Get out on the field. Get on the rink. Catch a puck from a professional player and hit that shit into the goal. Goal is mostly covered. There's like little openings on the side and in the middle. I would have broke my neck. I can't ice skate to save my life. I tried it one time when I was a kid. I think I made it a foot out, touching the wall, afraid for my life, and I was like, never mind. I could barely roller skate. But I had to drag myself along the wall. I have terrible balance. I am so unbalanced. It's crazy. No coordination. I'm like, that's fine. That's why I'm not on the Amazing Race. Some people get this. A couple people got it on their first shot. I'm like, that's wild. Some people took them a hot minute. Some people took a hot minute to get through. Like, what was it? Alex, it took like 20-something tries. But to be fair, we can't all be good at ice skates, so no worries there, sir. At this point as well, after this, when you complete this, you just get a coin that tells you where the pit stop is. There's not even like a clue. It's like, here's the coin, go there. So, of course, Jack gets on like the first shot, and Natalie and Stephanie, I said Stephanie on the... No, Natalie was on the ice, I believe, yes. They get to this pretty quickly. So they both are racing to the pit stop at the same time. They're literally running at the same time. But out of the kindness of Jag and Jazz's hearts, they, for Natalie's birthday tomorrow, give her the win. They're like, you know what? You take first place. They keep saying, like, we're so people might see us as a threat if we get 3 first place in a row. I don't think they know each other's placements. Because this episode, when they see the driver's seats, they mention, oh, we can see which teams are out. Did you see the pictures? We know which teams have been eliminated at this point. Oh, there's no Enzo and Jack, or Angela and Lexi are gone. So nobody knows you're getting first place. So you're not really a threat. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's like, well, Jag and Jazz got first place in the leg again. They don't fucking know. Half of them haven't even seen you for this whole race. Like, so I don't get the logic. Maybe people who are more, I haven't seen every single season. I've seen a lot of Amazing Race, but I haven't seen every single season. I don't want, I watch whenever I watch it. Typically. Someone let me know. Do they know the placements? I don't think they do, because they seemed to learn who had gone home based off of the driver's seat board. So nobody would know that Jag and Jazz were continuously getting first, besides the people he was racing with, like his alliance, like this top little group here. the rest wouldn't know. Unless the other people were saying, like, oh, hey, by the way, like, Jag and Jazz were first, and then they spread it to other people and they see them. But you can go a whole leg without seeing a single like, and so when Jack didn't see pretty much almost anybody for, like, that whole first leg. So, you can't see anybody. So, I don't get the logic of that. But that's Jag and Jazz. Listen, Jag is not known for his incredible strategy skills, so whatever. Natalie and Stephanie get first place, and they get money, right? They get $2,500 each. That's like, it's like every like $2,500 each person. So like total $5,000. Cool. Happy birthday. Now, this race, I don't have a lot to say about this leg because it was like it literally was like watching 3 different legs. Because there was like a little bit of like the last team or two in like in each group like kind of had a little bit of crossover, but they also like teetered off quickly, so it was like dut. And poor Turner and Megan just could not catch up. They didn't show, excuse me, hiccup there, in the episode, but Turner mentioned this. I believe, was it their exit interviews they mentioned this? Where they had actually gotten some directions from somebody, and it was the completely wrong directions. They ended up, I think this is when they were going to the plow route info, they ended up an hour and a half in the wrong direction at an IKEA. They said they were in the IKEA parking lot. I'm like, this isn't a farm. They had somehow been led the totally wrong opposite way, so they had to go all the way back, and that's why everybody else was able to check in because they were beyond lost. I mean, Chelsea and Jack, Rubina and Christine got lost as well, but nowhere near as bad. Rubina and Christine just ended up missing the turn for the hockey rink, so they just kept going, and they eventually turned it. And they ended up, didn't they end up at the pit stop? They ended up at like the clue for like the pit stop. Or no, they ended up at the pit stop. And they're like, this isn't the right place. And they're like, oh, this must be the pit stop, because they saw Joseph and Adam running in to go check in. That should tell you something. How staggered the times were. Joseph and Adam were going into the pit stop as Rubina and Christine were still trying to get to the hockey place. That's too staggered. That's crazy. And Rubina and Christine didn't even end up. It's not like Rubina and Christine were like the back of the pack or something. They were in the 7th out of 11 people. Interesting. But I don't make the show. Not up to me. But yeah, I never had much to say about this episode because, like I said, it feels like different legs. The challenges were fine, but they weren't crazy I mean, they had just, you had to be able to ice skate and hit a hockey puck. But the beer one wasn't as hard. I mean, they were getting, let me tell you that, doused with beer. That one I feel like would be more frustrating than, like, hard. Like, it's not like, oh, I don't know how to do, like, you could go watch the demonstration. It would be like, alright, just fill it up better or dump it out. Great for Kylan, who, like me, neurodivergent. He's autistic and has ADHD as well. He said, oh, I love a meticulous task. And I'm like, me too, Kylan. And I like the whole segment, the little segment they had with Kyle and Taylor talking about their, like, different communication styles. Because, like I said, neurodivergent. Kylan's like, I take things very literally. And Taylor's like, I talk in metaphors and similes. And I'm like, oh, girl. Like, I like when she was like, oh, we gotta stop at the gas station. He's like, the gas station? She's like, the one we just passed? He's like, oh, we're doing a U-turn. He's like, oh, I thought we were just, like, turning left. I was gonna go down that street. And she was like, no. I did like that little segment. I still, like, I know it's, like, 5 episodes in at this point already. And I still am, like, it's like, I'm adjusting a little bit. It's still, like, so, like, oh, yeah, a couple. Because my brain is, like, it's, like, an adjustment. I still can't get over it. I'm like, oh, I'm getting used to it, though. We're getting there. They're gorgeous, though. Love them. Okay, so, sorry. It's, like, a whole different tangent. But, now, I'm trying to see if I have anything else to say. Like I said, not a lot. We lose Turner and Megan's episode. But they've been it sucks because they've been at the back of the pack this whole time. Like, this whole bottom line has just been in the back. The rest, haven't shifted around as much. Like Kylan and Taylor have been in like 9th place for a hot minute. It's pretty much like the top 4 are kind of rotating, and then this middle 5 are rotating, and then the bottom 4 we're just like kind of stuck, which sucks. You want more fluidity than this, which is coming. Fluidity is coming. But I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing anything else. Like I said, I didn't have many notes for this. Not a ton to say. I don't think so. No. Okay. Yes. Besides Turner and Megan not even getting to do like the hockey roadblock, they're just like they filmed at them at the plow. He's like, everybody's already done. And they were in such good spirits, let me tell you. They were just like, yeah, that's okay. You know, we had fun. And like, you know what? I'm glad they had a blast. Because they were just like, oh darn, well, we had a good try. So, I do love that for them. They were like, you know, maybe it was turning like, maybe we just weren't meant to win $1 million. I'm like, that's okay. It's okay. They were in good spirits, though. So, now, moving on from just a little bit of episode 3, like I said, not much to say there. It was a fine episode, but, you know, we didn't even see Turner and Megan until a half hour in. That shit was so staggered. But, now, episode 4. We're leaving Prague. We're leaving Kutna Hora. And we are moving on to, drum roll, because I don't want to mess up my mic here. Just pretend it's a drum roll. Budapest. And we get a shake up for interesting reasons. Not so good reasons. A mix of reasons. But what a shake up. Look at that again. Leg 3. Leg 4. Things are moving. Not always for good reasons. But we'll touch on that in a moment. I forgot to unmute. Okay, my bad. Sorry, I paused for a second. I was like, it's getting darker here. Forgot to unmute for a second. My bad. But we're back. And we're better lit. It's no longer dark. Okay. So like I was saying, we are leaving Kutna Hora, Czech Republic, and we are headed to Budapest, Hungary. Now, this is the equalizer leg for good and bad reasons. The first equalizer of all, this is a train leg. Only 2 trains. Train 1 leaves at 6:42 p.m. Gets to Budapest around 7:30. Train 2 leaves at 10 o'clock. Gets to Budapest at 8:30. So there's like an hour difference between arrival times. This is the thing. Train number 1, the one that gets there earlier, has 3 connecting stops. So you have to switch trains like 3 times just to get that 1 hour ahead. But the 8:30 train 2, is a straight through sleeper train. So it's like, do you want to get the hour edge, but have to stay up and keep changing trains? Or do you want to get there an hour later and get sleep, pretty much? Now, if you can believe it, most teams took the first train. That was, I never remember who's on what train, so I write them down. And the departure times were still big, but because there's only 2 trains, not as big of a gap. So, train number 1 is Natalie and Stephanie, Jack and Jazz, Tucker and Eric, Joseph and Adam, Hannah and Simone, and Izzy and Paige. Now, if we go back to last episode's leg, That's pretty much the entire top 6. Now, Rubina and Christine were there on time to catch train number 1, but they did not. They're like, we're old. They're not old. They're like, we're taking the sleeper train. They're like, we need sleep. We got like an hour sleep last time. We need to sleep. So they take train 2 with Chelsea and Jack, Kyle and Taylor, and Kat and Alex, who I believe all 3 of them, their departure time was after the first train left. So they had no choice. The top 6 all had the option to, but they all chose to take the quicker train just to get that hour advantage. And there was a little drama here at the train station. Izzy, I love Izzy. Izzy and Paige are, debating train times. Joseph and Adam see Izzy, they're like, Izzy! And Izzy's like, yeah. They're like, like, what's up? And then Jack and Chaz see them and come over, and the second they do, he's like, well, we have to look at the train, so we gotta go. Actually, we need to look at this train information, so if you don't mind. Izzy is so funny. I love Izzy and Paige. My team. Down. That's my team. But Jack and Josh are like, that was weird. Why do they feel like they don't like us or something? Don't know where they would have gotten that idea from. Have they ever seen this show called BB-25? They should tune into it. But yeah. It's pretty clear that Izzy and Paige are like, we're good. We don't need to talk to Jack and Jazz. And that's fair. This is a race. It's a competition. And shocker. Just because you're all from the same franchise doesn't mean you need to help each other. I know. Gag of the century. Who would have thought? That it's a race, you're competitors, and you don't want to help your competition, especially the people that you know are ahead of you. Crazy. Now. So, listen, they all get their trains. This is like we'll keep that in mind. It is important for later next episode, but we'll get to that in another video. Now, they make their way to Budapest. Train 2, sleeping peacefully. Train 1, literally, like, that was a video of Lady Gaga that was like, plane, bus, club, another plane, another bus, club. No sleep. It was like 1 a.m., 4 a.m. They had to keep changing trains. I would have taken sleeper 1. Listen, I don't function on no sleep. So we're getting sleep. Thank you. Now, they get to Budapest, and their first stop is literally practically like across the street from it's like so close to the train station, where they get their first route info. Route info is probably the better way of saying it. Search for a king. They gotta find a king, and then they can get their next clue for the next stop. At this hot bath. What do they call it? Yeah, thermal bath. I was like, hot bath sounds wrong. Thermal bath. I don't know. So they all go changing the bathing suits. They're walking on this water. It's pretty clear once you see, like, once they clock. There's a lot of people playing chess in this water. Like, okay, you're looking for a king on a chessboard. And once you find them, you're like, okay. They're like literally in the guys with the chess that they need are in the middle, and the chessboard is lined with red and yellow, like the Amazing Race. Like, okay, like that's it. That's the people. You found them. And there's like a box underneath it where the guy just lift the lid and like, here's your chess piece. Now, the problem is, for most of these teams, they get a chess piece and they're like, okay, where do we go? Because they're like, there's nothing. Usually it's like, we gotta bring it somewhere, or there's something written on it. But there's not. They just got a chess piece, and they're like, so now what? They're just like, okay, so we got this. What do we do? Now, while all of them are kind of running, a couple of them are running around trying to figure out like where shit is, Tucker and Eric start fiddling. Whoop, it opens. And the clue's inside the chess piece. Now, they all eventually kind of figure that shit out. But Tucker and Eric are able to get kind of like the leg up to like, okay, don't tell anybody, and that's how you should do it. Don't say shit. Just go. Because this is not the team this is not America's best friend race, you know? The amazing best friend race. I don't know why I'm thinking America's next time. What do I mean? So they take off. They're like, don't say shit. They're like, nobody knows what it is. Go, 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 go. And I'm like, that's how you do it. Leave them. But they all figure it out eventually. And you can tell this was close because Izzy and Paige were leaving the bathhouse as the train two people arrived. They were getting their clues, and Izzy and Paige were like, hey guys, and they're leaving. So I'm like, we're catching up. There's a chance, people. You can do it. And they're like, oh my god. Now, the chess piece takes them to a little spot from there. Another route info where they have a choice. They can head on to the next roadblock or do a fast forward. The fast forward is having to solve both people on the team have to solve a Rubik's Cube in 7.5 seconds on the same turn. So it's like, this setup is crazy. It's like a table. They have like hand sensors you have to put your hand on, and then it starts the clock, and you have to like, Rubik's Cube, and then boop, stop the time. 7.5 seconds for both of them on the same shot, and then fast forward, you can go right to the pit stop. Nobody does this but Tucker and Eric. Now, I probably would have also skipped it because I'm like, I don't know how to do a Rubik's Cube, but they don't know this until they get there. I don't know if their clue said this, but when they get there, Tucker and Eric, the Rubik's Cube is like mostly solved. There's like on the table in front of them is like steps on like how they get the next to finish the rest of it off. So it's pretty much just having to practice it or keep doing it so you can get it faster and faster done. Which each time of obviously having to keep practicing, especially if you're not getting it, it's a big risk. It pays off because Tucker and Eric do it. They complete the fast forward, so they just get to skip right to Phil. And they're like, hey Phil! Unlike the other episode, when they just accidentally found the Phil and skipped the detour. They're here for real. They're like, alright, day's over. We're light leg for us. We're done. No, everybody else gotta keep moving. However, once people make, the decision not to do the fast forward, this is where we have issues, unfortunately. The really shitty part of this episode, but unfortunately too real part, everybody has to take, and the clue says specifically they have to take a taxi to this next stop. And obviously, on the Amazing Race, when it says you have to take a specific mode of transportation to get there, you gotta take it. If it says take a taxi and you walk, that ain't working. They don't you gotta go back and you're fucked. So it's like, you have to take a taxi to get there. Now, some of the teams are getting in taxis fairly quickly. A couple are not. Specifically, as they show in the episode, Jag and Jazz. Jag and Jazz are having a really hard time getting a taxi. No one is stopping for them. No one even slows down. They just blow by. Empty taxis. Nobody gives a shit. And I think they said they were there for like 45 minutes until they got a taxi. But the unfortunate thing is they don't get a taxi until they put their hoods on. Jag is like, they're like, put your hood on real quick. They put their hoods on, they cover their podcasts, and they wave at the taxi. Stops. And that is the unfortunate problem for many of these teams. They don't show that in the episode, but Specifically, Joseph and Adam talked a lot about this online as well, that they also were not able to get taxis. In fact, the taxi they get in the episode, I believe Joseph said he literally had to jump in front of the taxi for the guy to stop so they could get in, and then the guy brought them to the wrong spot, ditched them, and left. It's just really unfortunate, and they made it clear to, like, it's clearly because of how we look. Clearly they see, people who are brown, people who are Sikh, people who are clearly not white. And they're like, no thank you, skip. And, like, that's so shitty. It's so nasty. And, I said, from being like, oh, Jack and Jess keep winning. Oh, I would love a shake-up. I don't want a steamroll. But this isn't... At the first you're like, oh, they're not getting a taxi for, like, the first couple, like, a minute or two. Then you're like, wait a minute. This is fucked up. Wait a minute. They're like, this isn't... They're not stopping because... And then I'm like, oh, these people, all the taxi drivers just racist. And you're like, oh, that's so fucked. That's, like, it's ridiculous. And I don't know how. I know there's probably been issues on the past seasons as well with this. But it's like, it's so absurd. It's just like, it's unbelievable. The fact that they literally, like, they could have lost the leg. Like, if this was later in the leg, like, they could have lost the leg if they didn't think to, like, oh, we have to cover our hoods, hide part of our identity, so then somebody will pick us up in their taxi. And trust that this person is going to bring you to the right location. Like Joseph and Adam, they got dropped up the wrong spot, and they said they were trying to get directions from people, and every person was either ignoring them or would give them directions to the wrong place. As we saw in the episode, they'd be like, oh yeah, go to this building. And they're like, nope, not here. We gotta go to that building. How about this place? And they were like nowhere near where they were supposed to be. Like, it's frankly disgusting that they had to sit through all of this shit. And I know they said, like, it's unfortunately, like, they're like, this isn't the first time it's happened, it's probably not going to be the last time, and I'm like, that sucks. They don't show everybody's experience with this, but kind of Taylor as well said that, like, they were having an extremely hard time getting with the taxis as well. Like, to the point where later on in this leg, Jag and Jazz, like, just forget the taxi. They just take the train. They're like, we're not even going to have to, they're like, forget waiting for a taxi, we are just going to take the subway. Even if it takes longer. Like, we can't risk having to stand outside for 40 minutes trying to get a taxi and hope somebody isn't racist and will pick us up. Hope somebody isn't, like, a xenophobe and will actually take us to the correct location that we need to be so we could win this race. Like, it's frankly horrible. It's, like, such bullshit. And I know every country is different. And it sucks they have to, like, even, like, I wish they had, like, gone and, like, the people who make the race, not the contestants themselves, obviously. Like, you have to think about this, like, okay, I have, like, looking at the team here, look at our, like, how many, like, POC teams we have. Like, 6 out of the remaining, well, 10, I forgot the grade out for there. Yeah, 6 of the 10 are visibly POC, and then Natalie and Stephanie are Latina. Alex is Hispanic as well. Like, and Natalie and Stephanie are, like, I can say I'm a white passing Latina. They're more white passing. If they had been darker skinned, would they would have been able to get taxis, or would people have just driven past them like Jack and Jazz and Joseph and Adam? Like, it sucks. It sucks a lot that they had to do this. So having to require, I know it's part of the game, like, you have to follow whatever method of transportation they tell you, but if you're forced to not be able to take a whole method of transportation because people are shitty and racist and will ignore you or drive you somewhere God knows where, which is not only, like, sucks for the race, but is extremely dangerous in a country you've never been before, or at the very least extremely unfamiliar with, and they're just dumping you somewhere and they're like, fuck off, bye. You don't know where they're leaving you. That's so, like, it's so dangerous. They're probably lucky that they had a camera. Obviously they have the camera crew with them. imagine if they did it. Who knows where the people would have taken them? They probably could have took them halfway across the fucking city and dumped their ass and been like, bye, I don't know where we are, but see ya. Like, that's so, just like, oh, it, like, pissed me off, like, so bad. I'm like, that's, ugh, like, horrible. Like, and I know, like, that's not, I don't know, it's just, like, so shitty that they have to, like, you have to factor in, like, will somebody hate crime me today into the race? And it's like, damn. Like, that's so fucked. It's, like, unbelievable. Because they're probably just, you're trying to win $1 million. You're in a game, you're like, I'm trying to compete on this show to win money and just survive to the next day so we can keep going forward. And now you have some shitty taxi driver who's like a dirtbag could cost you $1 million. And that's horrible. That is really, really horrible. And I hope, like, with future races that is something they can consider. I know, I mean, just, like, briefly, like, in other seasons, people have had issues, like, people who are in countries and they're, like, a gay couple. People, like, women, there's, like, some legs where nobody will help any of, like, the all-women teams. They had to have, men step in so they can actually get assistance with things. Like, I get, there's so many countries and cultures in the world. I muted myself. Apologies. I whacked it. It's, there's so many different countries and cultures that it's hard to keep everything into consideration. But at the very least, like, there should be, like, something where, like, behind the scenes, they're like, okay, this is clearly an issue. When does production, step in to help with this? Like, what would happen if Jag and Jazz didn't think to put their hoods on? If they stood there for another hour trying to get, like, another, like, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, trying to get a taxi because they have to catch a taxi. Would the camera crew have to stand there and watch, or would Bruce be like, finally, like, real clock, like, hey, this is the situation, and what do we do to resolve this? I know maybe it's not requiring a specific method of transportation. Maybe, I don't know, or maybe you have to take either this or walk or do that, but I don't know what you do to resolve it. It's like, it's just unfortunately a byproduct of people who are assholes. It's like you can't fix people being shitbags, unfortunately. You just have to kind of adjust, and that just sucks. It really, really does. Because it's like, what can you do? Especially in a country you're not familiar with, you can't, it's not always the safest way to be like, this person wasn't, you can't yell at the taxi guy, like, you're being, like, racist against me, because you don't know what they're gonna do. They're taking you, so what if they, like I said, dump you somewhere dangerous, take you somewhere you don't even know? Thank God they have a camera crew, but if that's what they're willing to do, they're being recorded on TV, who knows what they would have done if there was a camera off. It's just, obviously I'm not the person who has the most, I don't know, it's just like, it's terrible. It's really, really shitty that they have to all deal with this. And it really, especially, like, clearly you can see how it affects their placements. Joseph and Adam dropped so low to the point where they thought they were eliminated. I mean, they obviously had many issues throughout the day. But that guy dropping him some random place could have been the end of their race. They could have lost the whole leg because people wouldn't give them directions. And Jag and Jazz were able to get directions and catch a bus somewhere because they ran into another sick man, and they were like, thank God. They're like, they saw him and they were like, thank God. Somebody we know will give us directions and is not going to send us to the wrong place. It just sucks. It's just, I don't want to rant about this forever, but it was an unfortunate thing that many of them had to deal with, and it just sucks. It really, really, really does. But, yeah, it was terrible. But they, thankfully, ultimately, they all are able to get to the next stop. Some much later than others, but they get there. Now, moving on from that horrible shit show mess, fucking Budapest. Sorry if you're from Budapest, but your taxi people suck. But yeah, when they actually get to the roadblock, I blinked and I was just staring at the page. I forgot I had to read. Who thinks they can coach? I apologize. I was like looking at the name of it and I'm just like, so they have to, at this roadblock, guide a horse sled coach through a course in under 45 seconds. Clearly a lot harder for some teams that live. Some people are there a long time. Like, people are seeing, like, people from the legs they had not seen since they started the race. I believe Hannah and Simone said they were there for 3 hours. Like, they were not having a good, like, it's hard. Just to, you can't hit even the cones in the way, you can't hit the signs, you have to get, the horses to follow you, you have to adjust to being able to, lead a horse carriage. Some of them, like, have a little easier time, Izzy, is a horse, I almost call her a horse girl, I'm sorry, Izzy. Izzy is very familiar with horses. Izzy had a horse as a child for a bit, so, she's not familiar with horses. Some people are not familiar with horses. Joseph. This was so funny. His first go, he's like, he has the reins, he's like, waiting for the horse to go, he's like, go, it's like, block, and then they're just like, the horse is just like, not moving, he's just like, trying to like, go ahead, trying to motivate them to go, it's like, he's like, making like kissing, like, you put a cat, like, and I'm like, and they're like, what, people are watching, and just like, oh man. I love Joseph, he's an angel. They're like, damn, he is so sweet. That the horses are like, the horses have calmed down into a state of like peace because of Joseph. And they're like, Joseph said, I think he said online, like when they went out to like, they have like a coaching area, so I said the guy can teach you how to like lead the reins, and he was like, okay, so you actually have to pull the reins. You can't just like kiss at the horse. You have to move it. But let me tell you something. The Abdens, rough, very rough leg for them, but they were in high spirits at some points, despite everything. Because many of the teams catch up here, since they're all so close. This is really, like, a big equalizer, this damn horse thing. A lot of them are there. I forget how many there are, like, probably like 5 or 6 teams are already still there. And this is when Kylan and Taylor show up. And Kylan's the one who is doing the horse. He's outside, obviously waiting. Taylor is with the onlookers, and Adam, just Joseph is running. Joseph is doing better at this point, and Adam's like, "Wow, interesting." Joseph's having a hard time. All of a sudden, here comes Taylor Hale, and he's all of a sudden Mr. Horse, like perfect. And it's so funny. Taylor's cracking up. Taylor's like, he's got a stunt on his ex. It's so funny. And they talk about it in the confessionals too. And Joseph's like, jailer lives on, and I'm like, oh my god, it was kill me. It was really funny. Oh my god. But oh my god. But yeah, a lot of them a lot of them aren't there too long. Some people are there for a long time. Like I said, Hannah and someone for there for like 3 hours, and then Rabina and Christine were like the last team there. They like left, I believe, shortly after Hannah and Simone. They have to, once they complete this little horse thing, they gotta move on to route info at the House of Houdini, where they have a little box with a bunch of chains on it. They gotta unlock like a trick box and then find the clue in the false bottom. Like I said, very bad day for the Abdens. They somehow break their key off in a lock, and the producers have to like fix it off. Like they take their box off screen and like are trying to fix it, see if they can actually do something with it, while they're just sitting there like watching other teams go by, come in and go, and they're just like, well, what do we do? Literally, like, this is like such like they were having bad luck in Budapest. They're like, get me out of here, never send me back. Now, once they actually have their clue, it takes them to the next detour. Juggling act or balancing act. Now, literally only 2 teams pick juggling act. Most of them go to balancing act. Now, I'll start with juggling. Juggling act, is at the circus. They gotta juggle rings, 5 rings, keep them in the air for at least 10 seconds, and then they can move on. So, and Taylor go, and then Joseph and Adam go. This was ridiculous. This was crazy. So, Kyle and Taylor get this done fairly quickly. They're fairly good. You can tell they have, good hand-eye coordination. I think they have, when they actually are doing the attempts outside of the practice, they do it in 3 tries. I think Joseph and Adam, I don't know how many hours they were there, but when it came back to them and watching the attempt number go up, and I'm like, okay, 10, okay, and then it came back to them and it said attempt 64. I said, I'm sorry. I'm like, does that say attempt 64? I would have quit at that point. And I'm like, we're doing something wrong. Let's go dance. Why are we juggling? We need to move on. Because it took them 134 tries. I would have left 100 attempts before that point. Like, I mean, they weren't, like, they had to do 10 seconds. Because so clearly they were, like, quicker. But I don't know if they did, like, 134 straight through. Or if they were going in and out to practice. They didn't really, they just showed them in that fucking tent with the clown and the ringleader. But when they get that, and they're like, finally you passed. The way they tackle that clown. The clown's on the floor. And they're like... I was like, oh my god. They just, like, knocked the shit out of this clown. It was so funny. I could not believe it. Now, the next stop was the pit stop. So, they move on to the pit stop in there, but that was I was like, I cannot believe it took them this long, and they didn't think, I don't know if they thought of switching. Obviously, you can switch what detour you're doing, but it eats up a lot of time, because obviously you now have to leave wherever you are, depending on how long you've been at this detour already. You now have to leave this one, find your way all the way wherever it is to the other detour, and now start and complete that. And who knows if you're going to be better at that than the one you're at right now. So it's a massive risk, a big time eater. So I get why they stayed. I might have been like, okay, we've been doing this for a really long time. I don't know how long we're going to have to keep doing this. But they pulled through, and they made it to 7th. Thank God. I will talk about them getting to 7th place in a minute. I want to get through balancing act first. Balancing act, gotta learn and perform a Hungarian traditional dance. Every other team besides Taylor and Kyland and Joseph and Adam do this. Now, this was the best outcome of a detour for Hannah and Simone. They were dead last at this point. They opened that damn clue, and when they see dance, they're like, thank God. They're both, like, professional dancers. They've been dancing since they were, like, children, and, like, she listed so many categories of dance. I don't even know. It was, like, hip-hop, jazz, contemporary, da-da-da. They knew everything. And they flew through this. They didn't show the actual time in the episode, but Hannah online said that from the time of them getting there, learning the dance, practicing, like, being shown the dance, practicing it, and doing 2 different attempts, and completing and leaving was 22 minutes. They flew through that shit like nobody's business. It was crazy. They were like in and out. They're like, okay, we did it, we're done, bye. And they nailed it. Oh, they danced the hell out of that shit. Now there's a couple of dancers in the teams as well. Natalie was a professional dancer for... Was it a football team? I don't remember. A sports team. So was Kat. Kat was she said basketball team. Now, Kat and Alex were really struggling with this dance. They had a bit of a lead for a bit because of the catch up with the trains and the horse thing. They were able to get through that a little quicker. They blew a lot of their lead here. They were having a really hard time learning it. Kat specifically mentioned that, when they learned dancing in the States, like when she was on the dance team, they do 8 counts. And I don't know what count method they were using in Budapest, but it was not that, and it seemed like it was very confusing. I don't know if it was their teacher, or if they were just having a hard time picking it up, but they were struggling. to the point where Kat was, when she gets frazzled, she clearly gets very emotional and stressed. Which I understand, it's not like you're doing this on a Tuesday for fun. Like, you're doing this on a race to win $1 million on TV. So I also would be stressed. I'm you know me, I'm a stress crier. Well, you don't know, but I am as well. I get very frustrated easily. So I'm like, yeah, I see you, cat girl. I also would be like, again, frustrated and crying. Especially because she mentioned, like, this is, she's been on TV a hot minute ago. This is Alex's first time on TV, and, like, I believe in their exit interviews they mentioned as well, like, Alex, like, loved this show. He, like, watched it when he was a kid with his family, so he was like, oh, it's like a dream of his. And she's like, oh my god, we're blowing it. We're gonna lose because we can't pick up this dance. So, like, obviously the pressure is on for them. So I understand the emotions there. And there, at one point, I think there's, like, what? I'm trying to do the math because can't get Tucker and Eric. There's, like, 7 teams there at one time learning a dance. Like, that's a lot of people to be in. And they're all in one room. So you're hearing, like, this part of a song from here, this part of the song here, they're doing this choreography, and you're all, like, voices overlapping, it's, like, overstimulation. There's, like, you're trying to learn and concentrate, and now you're seeing how everybody else is doing. Like, are they doing it better than me? Are they going to be able to pass me? Are they going to fuck it up as well? It's a lot. So I understand, the headspace they were in. And I think it took them 9 or 10 attempts to get it done. It was hard. Plus, you're also, during this dance, you have to, like, one person has to carry, like, a bottle of wine on your head. So, like, if the wine's falling, like, if that falls off, you're fucked there too. Because that's, like, you broke it and I gotta do it again. It was rough. And they ultimately are the last team there, which is rough. But, again, the tax situation, Chelsea and Jack were kind of delayed because they could not get a taxi. So they, I believe, weren't too far ahead of Kat and Alex. So there was a chance there, but ultimately, Kat and Alex are the last team to check in and are, eliminated from the race. They're, very emotional on the mat, but, at the end of the day, they're like, it was rough. I think they're having a hard time because they were, like I said, at this whole bottom row. We're at the back of the group the entire time they ran their legs of the races. So it's hard to be like, and they were like, we just needed a miracle. And, like, they're like, today was our miracle. We finally got ahead, and we still got stuck, still fell back down, and we're still out. Which sucks, especially because it's probably one thing, to lose and you've been in the back the whole time, but it's another thing to lose and you had a chance. You had, like, that glimmer of we're at the top for once, and they just come right back down, and you're like, damn. They got the taste of it, and it was gone. Just pulled from their hands. And that's rough. So I understand, like, the emotions and the frustration. But, they made good attempts. They, you had fun. I mean, it's the Amazing Race. So it's not like, oh, this sucks, da-da-da. You're having fun. You're traveling the world for $1 million. So maybe you don't get the $1 million. But at least you get to see the whole, parts of the world that you've never seen before. At least it's just, and you're someone you love. It's not like you're with, like, my brother, like, oh, I'm with these fucking random people I don't really know that well. Or, like, I guess I'll get to know these people while I'm here. It's like, no, especially because it's all Big Brother people. You know all these people. It's not like they're strangers. So it's, like, another level of, like, I'm racing with, like, my boyfriend. And a lot of my friends are here that I'm racing with as well. So we're all having the experience together. Even though you're competing against them, it's still, like, look at the time I'm having with all of my friends. So at least there's, the fun of that. But it is tough, obviously, losing. Now, I just want to touch, like I mentioned, on Joseph and Adam getting to the mat. They don't show this in the episode, but Joseph has an incredible voice memo that he sent on Chat BCC that had me cracking up, where he explains this, where Joseph and Adam, because of how long they took at the circus, the juggling act, detour, they were convinced that they were the last team. They're like, we must be the last team. They get to the pit stop at, I can't say that, Varkert Bazaar, and they see Hannah and Simone are still at the mat when they get there, and Hannah and Simone are crying. And they're like, oh, and Joseph says, oh my god. We see them and we're like, shit. they're crying because they're the last team to check in, and they know that's safe, and they know we're eliminated. And they said when Hannah and Simone see them, they start crying even harder, and they're like, "Oh my God, we really are out." So they stand there, they said, and are having this whole like spill your heart out, like heartfelt moment, like crying, like, we've had such a great time, we've loved every minute of this, we love Hannah and Simone, if I hope they make it far, we wouldn't have wanted to beat them at this point, like literally, like crushed, but like trying to like be like so heartfelt at the same time, like just extremely emotional moment. They said Phil is standing there like watching him, like Hannah and Simone are there like crying. They're all four of them are like sobbing. So like Joseph was like, they're letting us talk and pour our hearts out to them, like we're rooting for you, Hannah and Simone. We hope you make it all the way, da da da, like, cause we're out. And then when they're done, Phil is like, Hannah and Simone, do you want to tell them? And that's what we see in the episode of Hannah's on me like, you guys are team number 7. And they're like, oh my God. And they just like literally collapse because they just spilled their hearts out. And they're like, actually, you're 7th place. There's still 3 teams behind you. And they just like pour their whole hearts out for nothing. The fact that Phil just lets them, he's like, just let him go. Just let him have this moment. They've had a rough leg. And like Phil's like, this is the most emotional like Matt I've ever seen. All 4 of them are crying. They're just like, we did it. And I'm like, oh my God. They made it though. But it was just so funny. And Joseph was cracking up. And he's like, they just let us sit there and cry our eyes out. They didn't say nothing until we stopped. And they were like, actually, you're not last. You're 7th. But yeah, incredibly funny moment from Joseph. I had to show that because that cracked me up. I was like, I can't believe that. Oh boy. But yeah, this leg, I honestly think, racism aside, I really think this was like a fun episode. I loved the detours that they had. I love like dancing and the juggling. Oh my God. The horses was fun. This is a more exciting, and I'm glad, like I said, racism aside, that it was a lot more equal. They had a lot more opportunities to catch up with people. The 2 trains arriving an hour from each other, perfect. Already setting people up on much more equal footing versus you have to drive 6 hours apart from the other person who's probably already done by the time you're gonna even get to the country that the town you're supposed to be in. But yeah, what a blast of a leg for the most part. I had to see Kat and Alex go, but the race moves on. And episode 5, we are heading to Croatia. So that's where we'll be at next episode. The Croatia leg. And a lot happens there, that's for sure. So that's all I have for today. Thanks for your patience. I have no time management skills, but we're going to work on it. So, look out for episode 5 of The Amazing Race 38 coverage coming this Sunday. And it will actually be this Sunday because I'm caught up now. No more behind. No more I don't have plans or anything. We're good. It's coming. Also coming up, Guts and Glory, which I'm moving to tomorrow because I'm doing this today. So tomorrow will be Guts and Glory episode 3, as well as Survivor 49 episode 5. That will also be tomorrow. So yeah, we got a lot of fun stuff coming up. Who knows? Maybe something for Halloween. We'll see. I'm thinking about it, But yeah, that's all I got for right now. So let me know your thoughts below on these 2 episodes. I forgot the first 2 for a second. I almost said episode 4, episode 3 and 4. My apologies. Let me know your thoughts below. Would you have done the fast pass or fast forward? Oh my God, fast pass. What is this, Disney World, bitch? The fast forward, or would you just said fuck it, we moving on? Which detour would you have picked? Can you juggle or can you dance? Let me know all your thoughts below. Leave a like, subscribe. Got a little more coverage coming, especially coming up. That's all I'm gonna say for now. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all next time. So yeah, bye.